Thanks for venturing out in this cold winter morning. Things are going well over at Forbes. They're still doing the punch list. Hopefully we'll have a date for you soon for an open house. Things are really going very well. The office is doing a great job. We're settling in nicely. I went before finance last night, kind of doing the final touches in the budget. So as you know, town meeting's coming up in March. We have an election coming. That'll be before our next breakfast with the chief. So I ask for your support. Please attend town meeting. It's setting the direction for your community. If you have any questions, please ask. It's been very busy. Still dealing with the master plan, the municipal vulnerability group. We're meeting, just trying to make sure we better serve Westborough and the residents. Someone had grabbed me when I was coming in today about the tinted windows on our cruisers, and I said, that's a great question. Why did the chief have the windows tinted? And obviously we get out of the cars, we're very friendly, we want to be in touch with the community. But I don't know if you saw the news recently in New York City, there was a police officer that was executed. The windows are tinted in the cruisers for a couple of reasons. One is officer safety, and two, we have technology in the cars, laptop computers, where we have core information that could be open to the public. So we're very sensitive to that we don't want people to see certain information that's on the laptops for the officers when they're on patrol doing their job. So I appreciate that question coming in, and just to explain, it really is an officer safety issue, and that's really one of my priorities, to make sure that our officers stay safe with some of the equipment we have. So today I'm really pleased to introduce two of our detectives, and you met Officer Hale is also with them. He's finishing up his field training, his FTO assignment, and the end part of that FTO assignment, field training officer assignment, is they go with our detective bureau and our school resource officials, to basically really get a full scope of what we do here. And so we have Detective Joshua Croft and Detective Dean Payne. And they do a great job. They're doing the work really of 4 people right now. And when we talk about the staffing study and different things, I'd like to see another detective in that office. I mean, they're dealing with things, at our hotels and other things. We had an individual who our midnight shift had contact with, and they felt it was suspicious. There was something, it wasn't quite right. And so they had to release the person. It was early morning hours. And they come to find out that there was a B&E to a shed where this person most likely was trying to steal a snowblower. So what happens then is our detectives and our crime scene people come out and they collected footwear impressions. We're doing that now with our enhanced training. And then they'll write search warrants to try to seize those sneakers so we can match that to where the crime happened. So these are the things that we're doing and that we want to continue to do. And you need those tires that meet the road. So hopefully in time, you'll see in a few years we'll be adding, and that'll be one of the areas that we add within the department, is our investigative section. Because I really think we need to be proactive there with different things. But I'll let them explain what they do. I thank you for coming. The second Friday of every month. I haven't solidified who our next presenter will be next month, but I promise you it'll be entertaining. So thanks again for coming out, and I'll turn it over to our detectives.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Dean Payne. I'm a detective with the Westborough Police Department, as Chief Lourie just said. I've been here in Westborough for going on 13 years now, with about 21 years total in my career. Westborough is a wonderful community to work in. It really is. It's spectacular. You guys treat us well, and hopefully we feel that we treat you well in return. Can't hear me? I'm sorry. My name's Dean. I'm a detective here in Westborough, and what I was saying was I was thanking you for the way you all treat us. We've treated very well here by the residents of Westborough, and hopefully you feel that we treat you as well in return. That ultimately is our goal. And if there's any questions any of you have for us this morning, or anything you'd like to say, concerns you want to raise, that's why we're here. And I'll give the microphone to my partner Josh now.
And I sit next to you, Larry.
Morning, everybody. Detective Joshua Croft. I've been in the Detective Bureau at the Westborough Police Department just coming up on a year now. I've been 8 years with the department. I've been a police officer for 12. I think what I'll talk to you guys more about is you are a population within the community that statistically is more likely to be victimized, to be a victim of, I guess we could call it just scams. All of these scams kind of fall under a certain situation where you get a phone call, mail, you get an email, if you use an email, that kind of puts you in a panic. It's something that you feel like that you have to react to immediately. And the person who's trying to get the money from you wants that panic to set in. So you make a decision that, you know, if you had some time to think about it, you'd say, this doesn't sound right, and you'd probably verify. So I guess the best piece of advice that if you get anything is to hit the brakes, stop, hang up with them, ask for a callback number, but don't call back that number that they give you, or don't return that letter. Call us, run it by us. We'll tell you, we'll give you some advice on how you can proceed. I think the popular one right now is the Grandchild in jail scam. It's going on all over Eastern Mass and Rhode Island. You get a phone call from someone that sounds like your grandson saying, I'm in jail. I need money. Another person takes the phone claiming to be the person's lawyer and saying that they need X amount of dollars to get them out of jail. They'll send a courier to your house to pick up the money, and little Johnny will be out in no time. The reality of the situation is it doesn't have to happen immediately. You can hang up the phone, call wherever they said he was, and say, is this person in jail? And they're going to say, no, we have no record of that person ever being here. And you can chalk it up in I just saved a lot of money. But the overall idea is that nothing has to happen immediately. If you ever feel pressured by someone to buy something, to do something, stop. Take some time, talk it over with somebody else, call one of us, say, what do you think about this? We'll come out, we'll talk to you, we'll go over it with you, and we'll get you to a point where you're either comfortable with doing it, or you're not comfortable with doing it, and you don't do it. And that's pretty much it. So I guess at this point, we'll open it up to any questions that anybody has, or any concerns that they have, as far as investigations goes, and we'll go from there.
Is there a reason why we don't post something in the community advocate about these scams? Like, you know, they seem to happen like monthly. The latest one I have is that monotone voice that says, your social security number has been compromised, you know, to talk to you. I'm like, yeah, right, hang on. I mean, they even leave messages.
So if we were to compile a list of every single scam that somebody could get, it would just be a newspaper of everything.
Go out on the police pod or whatever it is.
You have a blog.
Well, we have the Facebook page that we post a lot of stuff like this, and Twitter and Instagram.
But a lot of people choose not to be on Facebook. Sorry for the interruption.
No, and we're always looking at different avenues that we can reach our community. You know, that's something that we can discuss with the chief to kind of do the senior center newsletter or anything like that.
Can I just remind people, and I say this more than I probably say anything else, the IRS, Medicare, and Social Security will never, ever call you on the phone.
Right.
They will send you a letter, they will give you an 800 number to call them, they will not call you.
Right.
So just, if you get a phone call from any of those places, it's not real, hang up.
And the community advocate, they share our Facebook posts.
Yeah.
And they do actually,
Yes.
I've seen media releases, you know, I'll be on the treadmill, you know, early morning hours, and this Fox News and this Facebook
Yes.
post on Fox
Yep.
News. So, but I think that's a great idea that, I think maybe when a scam does come, that we do put it in the senior newsletter. I think that's a great idea. I never thought of that until you just brought up how can we better get the message out. So thank you for that, and I think that's something, when we have a scam, we can forward that to Alma to put in her senior center newsletter. That's a great idea. Communication's key. Thank you.
Mister.
I've gotten some calls, both from somebody who says they're representatives of National Grid, and also other people who say your supplier has overcharged you. Press 1 to get your refund. Is that scam, or what is that?
Scam.
So that National Grid question, yes, that is a scam. So what'll happen is, you'll get a phone call saying they're a representative from National Grid, and that if you don't pay your bill, they're gonna shut your electricity off for your service. It could also come with other utilities, if you have gas or whatever, it could come that from Eversource.
But what they're
Yes.
saying is you're entitled to a refund.
Sure you are, and if you provide your banking information,
Right.
we'll be sure to give it to you.
Is the same thing true for Eversource? They're saying that if you paid your bill in the last 6 months, you're entitled to a reduced rate.
Correct.
So that again is not from the gas company.
And if you call the gas company number, they will
Right.
verify that for
Right,
you.
that happened with National.
I get it from National
I'm also,
Grid.
I'm
Yes,
also
yes.
intrigued how they can use the 366 number to make it look like it's your local number.
Yes.
You know, and it's various.
Nowadays, there's really no way of knowing where the phone numbers are coming from. With technology, there are so many different ways of disguising the true phone number that somebody is calling you from, whether it's simply by blocking it so it shows up as unidentified or phone number not available, or they could just actually change the number that will show up on your caller ID.
I've had my own number like that.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
I'm talking to
I
myself.
think it's almost, if you don't know, if it's not a relative
Don't
or a
answer,
neighbor's
that's
name,
right.
because your bank has your email, they have things, I mean, they'll have ways to get a hold of you, and so if the gas company calls or something, say, I'm busy now, I'll call you back, and then get your bill out and call them.
Also, don't be
99% of
afraid.
the time is like, I don't answer my phone
Yeah, me
if the
too.
name doesn't pop up.
Most of us nowadays
Caller ID.
have some form of voicemail.
Right.
So if you're unsure, don't answer the call, let it go to voicemail. And then if you have to, you can call family or friends to listen to the message with you and help you determine if you believe it's legitimate or not. That's not a bad way to go either. If it is an important, a truly important call, somebody will leave you a voicemail.
Well, the real clue is when it's your own number calling you.
Oh, yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
happened.
I had Car Shield, you
Quite
know, they advertise Car Shield on TV all the time. Well, my car's in 2015, I'm thinking, yeah, I need to think about this, so I kept hemming and hawing, so I called one day. And it's like 4 in the afternoon, and talked to the guy, and he said, oh, today's the beginning of the month, it's the first of the month, we've got a great deal. Instead of $140, we're gonna give you $39 off, so today it'll be $99. You give me your information from your checking account or a credit card. And I said, well, I need to think about this. I'd like to know what the particulars, what you're gonna fix. Car shields, if you can bring your car in for repairs and, you know, just submit the card and they'll pay. So he said, well, no. I said, well, you know, I don't have my purse with me. He said, you're at work and you don't have your purse? I said, I have my purse out in the car. I said, and I can't go and get it right now. How about if I call you back at 6 when I get home? Oh, no, you can't. The deal's off then. I said, and I won't be in there. I said, well, I can talk to somebody else. No, you'll be a second-time caller. That can't happen. It just can't happen, he said. You need to respond right now or this deal is no good. I said, well, you know, I don't think this company's good for me, and I hung up. They called me back for a week straight.
So 2 things. Number 1, don't ever tell anyone you left your purse in your car. Number 2, if they're using aggressive tactics like that, trying to bully you into it, it's probably
Well,
no
that's
good.
what I figured. It was-
Hang up the phone and just get away from
They
it.
wanted me right now to make that decision. It's like, I didn't know any of the particulars of this, what this contract was. Oh, well, you just give us this information, we'll take it right out of your account. No, you won't. I'm not stupid. But and they're advertising it every day on TV too. But, yeah.
My question is sort of a similar. You know, we're paying for cell service or for home service. I'm just surprised that Verizon or whoever else can't do something about this number juggle that's going on.
So the question's a valid one. It's a federal level question. So the FCC is working with the cell phone providers to have some sort of a verification process on the back end to confirm that the number is coming from where it truly originates from. I can put an app on my phone and I can spoof the Westborough Police Department number to come up as where I'm calling from, which means I can do any number. It doesn't matter. It's just what shows up on your phone. But hopefully soon there'll be a system of verifying that the true number is that number. So it comes up as my cell phone number and not whatever number I put in. But they're working on it because they're getting a headache from all these India call centers who are calling constantly. Your warranty is about to expire. You have a family member who's fallen and hurt and I need their social security number. All of it is just mining for information from you to get your information or somebody else's information. The best thing is, if you don't know the number, let it go to voicemail. Answering the phone kind of puts it in this person answered the phone, it's an active phone number. Pressing 4 to stop the calls actually does the exact opposite of that because they've had an interaction with you. It's a number that's good and somebody is on the other end that pushed a number. We're going to call that one again tomorrow. Not that they're going to delete it from their system and never call you again because now they have good data that says that this is an active number. If you don't answer the phone and your voicemail picks up, it doesn't register as a good number. So they may put it in the junk pile. Say, this number we didn't get anything from this, we're not going to waste our time with that number. We're going to work on numbers that we know are active users.
What happens if you hit like the decline button? Do they still know it's active number then, or?
I believe that will trigger it as an interaction, but I'm not 100% on that. But the recommendations that I've seen from the FCC is just don't answer it, let it go to voicemail. That's what they recommend, and when that changes, we'll put something out, but for now, that's what they recommend. The FCC is the big government agency that regulates this kind of stuff. If you're getting, if you do not want unsolicited calls, you can put your home phone and your cell phone number on the do not call list. And if you are on that list and you are still receiving unsolicited calls, you can file complaints with the FCC. What they'll do is they'll take as much information as you have about the caller. If you answered the phone, who they said they were from, and so forth. If you don't answer the phone, you can still just add the phone number, the date and time. They didn't leave a message, the details of the transaction, and file a report with them. They'll put it in their database. Every now and then you hear about big government sanctions against a call center in X country, and fines levied against a country or a company that's in the United States doing legitimate business that's harassing people and violating FCC regulations. So they need the data. Not everybody puts in the data, so it helps them by building data.
Follow up to that. Does that same thing apply to email? I'll get a junk email, and right underneath it, it says unsubscribe. And I'm saying to myself, if I push this button, am I actually telling them that I'm looking at their email,
It depends on where it's from. If it's from like a service that you signed up for, like when you signed up for, I don't know, anything that you've gone out and solicited, and when you sign up, you check the box to say, I want to receive emails. Well, you get sick of getting the emails, so you hit unsubscribe. That's a legitimate unsubscribe. Something that just comes out of the blue, I wouldn't hit anything. I would filter it into the trash if you don't want to do it, because you never know what you're going to click on and what that link is going to take you to. Clicking on anything in an email that you don't know who it's from or what the subject is dangerous. That can upload a virus or malware into your computer, and then you run into a host of whole other problems. So unless you know who sent it or you're expecting it, don't click on anything in it. And even if you do know who sent it, be wary of what you're clicking on. Yes.
Something that's helpful, and maybe everyone knows about it, I don't know, but if you happen to be watching television and your phone is not nearby, it's in the other room, you can call Verizon and they will do something behind the scenes, and the phone number that's calling will show up on your TV screen. That's really a neat feature. Just an FYI.
Yeah, that can be helpful. It can also be annoying too, if you're getting a lot, because then you get that pop-up every couple of minutes when you're trying to. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Just,
One of my friends is originally from Norway, so she has slightly different exposure of her email. I got an email from her saying, this, that, and the other thing, send money, but it was not in her phraseology. Totally ignored it. But whatever she did, she lost her entire emails and also her address book. And, she had to go on from there, so always be very careful. And if it doesn't sound like your friend's phraseology in that beginning of the email narrative.
yeah, a lot of times you'll be able to immediately recognize something is off.
Yeah.
Something's different. It may come from the same email, it may not. The name that's displayed, because you can set so that your name will be over your email. So the actual email itself won't, the email address won't show up, it'll just be your name. Like I can set my display name for my emails as Joshua Croft or Detective Croft. I can also set it as Santa Claus. But the actual email address underneath that, when you pull down on the email, will show the actual email address. Unfortunately, these scam artists are getting a little savvier. Their English is getting a little better. Their skills are getting a lot better. So we have to get better about protecting ourselves. Spoke about the IRS Never Calls You. Well, they haven't had a lot of success over the phone lately, so what do? Start sending you letters. They look official. But only you know your tax situation. If you've never had to pay taxes in your life before, you've always gotten a refund and everything was hunky-dory, and all of a sudden you owe $3,000, red flag should go off. Just kind of self-awareness. The IRS is a big government agency that has a lot of accounts that it solves or works on. So maybe a phone call to them and say, hey, I got this letter.
Okay, very recently I had a call and they said something about calling from the Westborough Police Department. A long time ago, there would be a fundraiser, and I think it was the actual policeman or someone they hired would say, send money, and then also they would send someone to your house to pick up the check, and this was for real. Are they still doing that?
Currently, we have no fundraisers ongoing.
That's what I thought.
I'm the president of the Patrolmen's Union, and Sergeant Reel is the president of the Superior Officers Union. Neither one of us have any fundraising activity going on at this point. So if you do receive a phone call, it's not coming from any of us. It could be a legitimate law enforcement, or it could be a legitimate fundraiser for some other law enforcement agency or association. However, it is not a Westborough Police Department thing.
And I believe the state police put a Facebook post out that they had received calls and they are not actively fundraising at this time either.
But we've talked about the scams, but what is the day in the life of you guys? I assume it's not mostly scams.
A lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, a lot of searching online ourselves. We do a lot of that. We use the internet quite frequently. A lot of subpoenas, search warrant applications, stuff like that. Our days are pretty busy. We keep they're full, and we do a full 8 hours every day. And but it's good. It's rewarding. It's what we enjoy to do, and hopefully it makes all of your lives a little bit better. Yes, ma'am.
Kind of a follow-up on that. What kind of forensics do you do, like locally?
So locally here in Westborough,
What's the question?
What do we have for forensics? Like science
What do we
kind of
have
stuff.
for forensics?
So what we can do here in Westborough is we'll go to a crime scene, we'll assess the scene, like let's say for instance it's a break-in and entering. We'll go there, we'll assess the scene, we'll try to identify locations where we may be able to collect latent fingerprint evidence, shoe impressions, tire impressions, things like that. And then also along that line, sometimes If there's clothing left behind, we'll collect that, as that may contain DNA in the form of hair or skin cells that are left behind. So what we could do is locate, document, and collect latent fingerprint evidence. Once we've done that, then we'll go and turn that over to the Worcester Police Department, and then they can analyze the latent print impressions for us to determine if we have a match with somebody who's in the AFIS system, which is a national system through the FBI. So if, for instance, my fingerprints had shown up somewhere and they've collected them, if they show up somewhere else and they're able to make a match, then they'll know that I was at that second location. And then as far as the shoe and tire impressions go, there's a group of officers who are capable of using some material to form a die cast, essentially, of that impression to preserve it and to be used as evidence later on.
Is your department still doing fingerprinting of children? About 30 years ago they were. It was like a fingerprint drive and you sit there on the police chief's lap.
We haven't done it recently, but it is something that we've done. I think the most recent one was probably a couple of years ago at one of the larger apartment complexes. I believe it was Fountainhead, now called Arrive. But yeah, we haven't done one recently, but it is something that we will do.
I was on a jury at the old Worcester courthouse, and it seemed to me that it was awfully difficult to convict somebody. That what may seem obvious to you guys, that this guy's a bad guy, we don't, as a jury, we don't even hear it.
Right.
And so, you know, I hear what you're saying, you're picking up this evidence, and again, we all watch these detective shows on TV. But it seems like you guys are putting in, this sounds awful, but you're putting in more hours to, and where are we getting, you know, with these, are they getting a slap on the wrist? I was talking to the Southborough police chief, and he was saying that one of his cars was rear-ended by a drunk driver. And, I mean, how obvious is this situation? And the guy doesn't even get a slap on the wrist.
I think the example that I can give is, I have a case right now where somebody's wallet was stolen from a fitness center in town. Something that took the suspect no more than 2 hours to complete. So stealing the wallet and making the transactions probably relates to about 13 hours of police investigation, which we just have to overcome the restrictions of the Fourth Amendment by submitting search warrants and everything like that, the things that protect us from unreasonable search and seizures. But there's that magic question of what is the balance of cost versus reward for it. It's really just up to, you know, what do we want to portray a community that will go after these people so that we're not going to be a victim here. You know, there is so much in the world of credit card fraud. There are millions and billions of dollars of losses in credit card and retail theft. Major cities won't even take a report on it. They say, good luck. The credit card company's going to reimburse you. They're the ones that take the loss. They're the evil big credit card companies. But the reality is the cost filters down to all of us through higher prices for goods and services that we buy and higher interest rates to our banking institutions. So we kind of take an approach of, you know what, we'll do it, we'll do the best job that we can, we'll present the case. We can't control what happens in the court. We can only present the best that we can with the information that we're able to get. So is it it's a burden to the person who we're investigating because they know that we're onto them, so maybe they'll change their behavior. Hopefully they change their behavior to not do what they're doing anymore and say, you know what, I had a good run, I'm done. Even if we don't prosecute them thoroughly, hopefully it stops them.
But did you prosecute this person?
I've prosecuted,
You just told us a story about
it's still pending. I know who the person is, I'm building my evidence. In today's day and age, there is an unbelievable amount of information about everybody, especially if you use social media. Everything that you do is logged, no matter what they tell you. Everything that everywhere that you go, they keep track of. If you have a Gmail account, everywhere that you've been, unless you've turned location services off, they know where you've been, what time, what day, how long you spent there, because for them, that's advertising dollars. They can push advertisements to you. If you're near a Home Depot, all of a sudden a Home Depot ad will pop up.
Yeah.
If you're searching on Google for something, all of a sudden you'll see ads all over your search bar or your websites that you're looking at for that product. It's push advertising, and it makes millions and billions of dollars. And it's really for our convenience, but if you're up to nefarious activity, it makes my job really easy. So. Does anybody else have any questions?
How can you, if you're at a gym or at a Y, putting your stuff in a locker, how can you protect yourself?
If you are at the Y and you are, don't bring anything valuable that you don't actually need.
mean leave your purse in the car.
No, do not leave your purse in the car. Don't leave anything in the car. At the Y, use the lock boxes on the wall. Those are your best safe bet. Those are the hardest ones to get into. If you go to the Y, you know the lockers are hit or miss whether they actually shut or not. But those lock boxes on the wall, put your car keys in there, put your wallet in there, put your phone in there. If you can help it, bring your purse or leave your purse in the car, but not with anything of value in it. So your little wallet that has your license, your social security card, your credit cards, and your money, hopefully that'll fit in that little box, and you put it in there, lock it up, it's free. You set your own combination. I have yet to take a report of something being stolen from those. I have taken many reports of things being stolen from the lockers in the locker room. They don't shut very well. Even when they do shut, somebody can come in there with bolt cutters, cut the lock, open the locker, and then they got your car keys to your car. So if you put your purse in your car, they're going to go to your car. Everybody's got the button on the car that beeps the horn to lock and unlock the car. Makes it real easy to find your car.
Do I get one more?
Yeah.
Okay, with things like the electric gasoline cars, when my daughter had an old Prius a few years ago, lost a key. It had to come, I think, at $400 or $500 from Japan. Can a locksmith get into a car if you've lost your second key? Sorry.
This sounds more like a personal question. Depends on the circumstances of the car.
Yeah. But a fancy current car you bought 2 months ago, hybrid.
Yes, you can. So anybody can get into a car. To get actually, if you've lost the key completely, I don't know the answer to that, because you have to have, with your little key fob that you have, it has to have that communication, and there's no other way to get around it. Without that communication, you may end up having your car towed to the dealership and then having to order a new one at an exorbitant cost, because these things aren't cheap. But
on the other hand, that there are honest people out there. A couple years ago, I was in Hudson and dropped my key with the fob. Didn't realize it till it was dark. We were like one of the only cars in the parking lot, and I went to search. I said, my friend, give me the keys. He said, I don't have it. We went back and we searched. It was in a big field. We looked around, we went back, we asked a couple of the people at the desk. No, nobody turned the key in. I just happened to think, I'm gonna try the door. Somebody had found my key, opened the driver's door, and set it on my car seat. You know, they could have got in my car, taken off, and it wouldn't have been stolen because they had my key.
still stolen.
You know?
It would still be stolen.
But they, very honest, and I never to this day, it's been now I think 2 or 3 years, I don't know who this person, I sent the, I sent to the Legion, I sent a note. I sent it into the newsletter. I still don't know the newsletter. Nobody ever came forward saying, you know, we found it, we weren't doing a good deed. I don't know, but somebody, it made my life a whole lot easier.
Yes, it did.
So there are nice people out there.
They do exist, yes.
It seems like identity theft is a major problem now, because with hackers getting into the major accounts like Equifax and Blue Cross Blue Shield and stealing all that information, it's very important that everyone has security locks on all their accounts. I have security locks on my account because of Blue Cross. I was a victim of identity theft. And as a result, I constantly have to monitor all my accounts. And one thing that came up recently, my phone number was on the dark web under surveillance. So I Googled it, and the dark web is where the criminals go to get information on you so they can steal your identity again. So I Googled information on it and found out that my phone number was related to a company in Westborough, Git Machinery, that's no longer there on Flanders Street. So we traced it that far. And after that, we found it was on the white pages. So on Google, you can Google white pages and find out the number. White pages did not take it off. It still had it listed. So I did another search and I found a way I got their phone number at white pages, but it's a hassle to reach them to get it taken off. They said they take care of it. They haven't yet. So my phone number is still out there, and as a result of that, I get all kinds of weird calls. They think I'm a machine company, I guess, my number. And I don't even answer the phone anymore. But I changed my my voice message to say this is a residential number. So I'm not getting as many now. But I never answer the phone, I just let it go to voicemail.
So White Pages has a mechanism to fix issues as you see. It's just, it might take you a few times of following up with it to actually get them to do it. Just because there's no, that's an open source network of information. It's just like the phone book. It's just that there's no verification process to say that this number is actually with this number like you did with the phone book. You trusted the phone book that this number was for this person because it's in this book. Why else would they print it? Whitepages.com is kind of a different animal in that I can submit information. They will, if I want to put information about somebody, like their phone number, their address, they'll take it and they'll put it up because it's public information.
Do you ever catch anyone who's stolen other people's identity?
No. The actual person who did it? No. Usually I can catch the person who's using it, but the actual person who stole it, it's unlikely. So identity theft happens in a digital world, for the most part. Because there's so much information from the data breaches, everything on the dark web, they will sell bundles, so thousands of people's of information of their name, address, birthday, social security number, driver's license number, mother's maiden name, everything that you need to open a credit card account is somewhere. Your information may be out there. The problem is navigating the dark web because it's not like the internet, the open web that we use. It's complicated. It's not easily searchable. But the people who want to get the information, they know how to find it. And there's no real regulation on what to do about it because it's the unregulated web.
That's why it's nice to have security locks on all your accounts.
Well,
they'll alert you if you're on the dark web. That's how I got alerted.
The recommendation that I would make, if you don't need to use your credit, freeze it. You can unfreeze it, but if you're not if you're not a user of credit cards, expecting to buy a car anytime soon, expecting to take out a mortgage, just freeze your credit. You call the 3 credit bureaus, you say, I want to freeze my credit, and they will freeze it for you. To unfreeze it is the same simple process. You call them and say, I want to unfreeze my credit because I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to do this, and I need access to it. And that's a way to stop from loans being opened in your name and credit cards being opened in your name. It won't stop the soft entry queries. So there's 2 levels of queries when you open a credit card account. There's a soft look to say, yes, this person exists, and they have some credit history. Okay? So like your small amount credit cards that you would get from a retailer, like a Lowe's card, Bernie and Phil's card, or whatever kind of card like that. A hard check for something larger, like an auto loan, a mortgage, stuff like that, will do a hard check, and they'll actually go in and they'll pull your credit report. And they'll say, yes, this person has a credit report, but their credit is frozen sorry, we can't issue the loan until the person contacts us and unfreezes your credit.
Also, I found out that everyone really should have online accounts for your bank account, because if you don't have one, the person that stole your ID will open one in your name. I ran into that problem, and I had the bank, luckily the banker knows me, and we stopped. And we closed that account, opened another account. So always have online accounts so you can monitor those as well.
If you're comfortable with them. Some people
Yeah.
aren't comfortable with them,
Well-
which is totally fine too. The benefit of the online account is you have instant access and you can see day to day, whereas you get credit card statements, you only get them once a month. And you say, I didn't make this one, all these 15, and my account's empty, what happened? And then you gotta go back a month later and figure it out.
Well, with the online account, you can use two-step verification, so they can call your cell phone, so you can find out who else is in your account.
Mhm.
You'll know right away. And you can use that two-step verification to get into your account.
Yes. I have a lot of trust in online banking, just because I'm of a certain age, it's how I grew up. I'm okay with it. I do recognize, however, that there are some risks to it. Something
You
that.
find out right away rather than a year, months
Yes,
later.
that's the benefit. You
Yeah.
can day to day check your balances,
Right.
drive yourself crazy wishing you had more money.
Can you spell out the risks that you spoke of?
So if you click on a link that uploads malware onto your computer, it's called, there are viruses out there that are key loggers. Basically, it tracks every key that you press on your keyboard, so that, when they see that you go to bankofamerica.com and you enter your login and password, it keeps track of that. So then the person can then go in and pull that information off of your computer because they have a hole to get into. By putting the keylogger software on there, they then know your username and password for Bank of America and any other thing that you put on there. Hopefully, the two-step verification process recognizes that you're not at the IP address that you were at when you logged in the last time, and we got to email you. Hopefully that stops it. But if you click on anything, it could upload anything, like a malware or a virus or anything that can compromise your computer, and then anything that you do on there could be compromised. Yes?
One thing you can do also, if you're looking up general information and you don't want to have somebody know that have this interest and get all the ads, at the senior center we have one computer. The library, there are a number of other computers. You can do sort of your general search at a different computer and then take that information and use it however you wish to in your life.
Yeah. There are also, depending on what web browser you use.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, you can use, you can also use Chrome and use incognito mode, which doesn't store cookies on your computer, that will track what you've looked at in the past. But there are also other search engines that do kind of the same thing.
Yeah, Fox is good too.
Yeah. Firefox.
Yes.
Firefox is good. Microsoft Edge has made a lot of strides in improving Internet Explorer, and some people like it. I don't think I'll ever go back. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and keep warm.
Thank you.